Hello again to all my listeners tuning in. Welcome to Fractured Poet, a podcast for all of you poetically insane individuals who love getting lost in the art of poetry. Podcasting from Ontario, California, I am your host, Katrina Wisniewski, just another person in the world obsessed with words, striving to make sense of it all. For today's episode, I'm not really sure if there is a theme to the poems I have chosen, but I guess some are connected to me on some kind of personal level or another. So I'm going to start with the first poem, and this one is called She Devil. She's difficult to be around, and yet such a pleasure to have by your side. A spoonful of bittersweet memories you cannot resist. She is the fire that burns within your veins, and the ice that dances on the tip of your tongue. Like a shard of glass, she slices through your soul. To have such sympathy, it is out of her realm. So understand the consequences, for there is no turning back, for she is the devil incarnate. All right, so maybe this poem does reflect a little bit of myself, minus the devil incarnate part. I'm not quite sure where this poem originated from exactly. It just sort of came out of nowhere, and like most poetry stories of mine, I just went with it. No, but on a serious note, I can be somewhat difficult to be around at times, maybe all the time. Who doesn't have that quality though, right? I honestly am very blunt and straightforward with no sugarcoating, no filter, and most people can't stand that. Some think that I talk shit just for the sake of talking shit, and unfortunately, that is not the case sometimes. And like the poem says, I am basically a spoonful of bittersweet. To those that know me, I'm sure you'll count this as very accurate. But I guess maybe this poem does kind of reflect my personality in some ways, because being that I am blunt with no sugarcoating to what I say, depending on what is being said, sympathy isn't always there to greet the other person on the receiving end, especially if I know what I am saying has validity to it. Once I start running my mouth, there's really no turning back. But enough of that foolishness, I will introduce the next poem, and this one is called These Recent Days. I know not of what I say. These recent days have me blundered in such a way. I despise the world and the people in it, yet I have no cause to argue, only speculation. My mind is weak. It has become fragile in ways I never saw possible. These recent days torture my innermost fears, developing a form of insanity created by anxiety. Isolating from my self-isolation, trying to make sense of nothing. One should be committed. These recent days have forced me to pace where I stand, going absolutely mad, drowning in a whirlwind of thoughts, knowing not of what I say. Again, another poem that has no origin, per se. This poem can actually be put in the poems about life category. Life has a sick sense of humor, if some of us haven't already figured that part out. Someone can literally drive themselves crazy trying to figure things out, realizing that life can't really be defined. If I had to choose what theme this poem is meant for, it would be anxiety. Anxiety can make you do things that are out of the norm. I know I have many moments of those, and they are not fun. So many things going through your head all at once, and it drives you crazy. It gets to a point where you can't calm down and your mind keeps wandering with no end in sight. Saying things that don't make sense, doing things that aren't normal, it's a scary place to be. I will now recite the third poem, and this one is called Expose. Expose me for who I am, for I can no longer bear the shame. Tell me I am pathetic, rip me to shreds. All I am is a deceitful creature. Expose my nerves. Allow the rawness to seep through your veins. Lay them out to dry. There's no need to be coy. Expose these devious thoughts, so explosive and uncanny. My true colors are vibrant. I am losing control. Okay, so this one doesn't really relate to me or have any personal dabs mentioned about me, but it did dawn on me that this poem can actually describe people in general. There are a lot of shitty people out there that deserve to be exposed for the person they are. Human beings are deceitful creatures, very devious and extremely unpredictable. Whether I had this idea in my head while writing this poem, I can't really say. But after reading it out loud for the first time, doing this episode, I realized that humans are raunchy creatures. And I guess that's all I have to say about that. Oh, I feel like I just quoted Forrest Gump. Um, all right, so anyway, so the last poem I will read is called Ocean's Tears. She holds her tears back to keep from breaking down, listening to the lyrics, getting lost in the melody. She can't help but feel. Unable to keep it together, she starts to drift away, reaching out for help, but no one is there. She is on her own, and down she falls, as her tears run deep. Down the rabbit hole she goes, drowning in an ocean of tears. After reading this poem, it kind of has a tad bit of Alice in Wonderland in it, with the mention of rabbit hole and drowning in an ocean full of tears, but going through it again, it really doesn't. But I can assume that I was listening to a particular song that made me feel some type of emotion, which obviously led me to write this poem. Don't remember which song I was listening to, but it was a song nonetheless. Don't you just hate it when you listen to a song and a bunch of random feelings and emotions open the floodgates and you can't help but think about whatever it is that popped up? I know I do. I think that's where this poem came from. I didn't describe what I was feeling or even describe the emotion. It was just briefly mentioned. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling about nothing, so I think this is a good time to end the show. To those of you who are always tuning in, and even those who are just tuning in, thank you so much. I hope you liked what you heard and you tune in next time. You can catch this and future episodes at anchor.fm/fractured poet. This episode of Fractured Poet was written and produced by me, Katrina Wisniewski. Music by Alternative Rock Volume 1 and Rock Electronica Volume 4 from freeplaymusic.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Fractured Poet. And as always, thanks for listening. And until next time.